guys, if you know me, you know that I love movies. And one of my favorite things about movies is the special effects. They've always wowed me growing up. I love the illusion that they give. It's amazing. And my favorite part of special effects would have to be the practical side of special effects.
Practical special effects? Well, what's that?
Well, practical special effects include all the effects that obviously aren't made by a computer. They're made by artisans, made by hand. These sort of things include animatronics, puppets, you got makeups going on, buckets of blood being thrown on people, and people in monster suits. All sorts of really cool stuff that's really there.
Oh, I see.
And ironically, you yourself, robot, should probably know what practical effects are, but that's okay.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Never mind. Let's just get back to it. I was lucky enough to grow up in the 80s and 90s during a time that I like to call the height of practical effects. This was before computers came on the scene, and back then we had a little something called movie magic, where you know that all the effects in these films were made by some asshole in a fucking workshop, so you were like, wait a minute, how the fuck did they make that guy's hand blow up? And you had no idea how they did it, but you know that they did it like with a puppet or with a fake head or camera tricks or editing. Some kind of human ingenuity. Someone clever figured out how to do this shit. Today, I feel like a lot of the wonder is gone because every time you see a special effect, a lot of people just assume that it's made by a computer, and most of the time it is, unfortunately. One of the top guys in the special effects industry, Dennis Muren, stated that today special effects in movies are no longer special, and we need to figure out why is that? Where did the sense of awe and wonder go? I love movie magic. Why is it disappearing? Every time I look around, it's gone.
Wait, what are you talking about? You're saying that some special effects are made by people and not computers? Whatever.
I know that that's a crazy concept for you, especially since you were born in 1994, kind of at the rise of the turning point where the computer started taking over. But let me tell you that there are still practical effects going on today, but most people don't even think that they're practical. They just think that they're CGI because they think that everything is CGI.
Everything is CGI, though.
Shut up!
What's your problem with sci-fi?
Too much CGI, man.
I like my special effects old school.
Good point.
Well, I had an extremely insightful interview with Alec Gillis from ADI, or Amalgamated Dynamics Incorporated, which is a practical effects studio here in LA. They're some of the top guys, and I got a lot of information about what's going on.
Hi, this is Alec Gillis. You may know me as the co-founder of Amalgamated Dynamics Incorporated, or perhaps you've seen our videos on our YouTube channel, Studio ADI. So many of you have responded to our behind-the-scenes videos of The Thing and The Green Goblin, I Am Legend, and we listen to you guys. And you folks have told us how much you still love the traditional techniques of animatronics and makeup effects. Big studios are increasingly bypassing our traditional techniques.
So, Alec, let's start by talking about the problems that we have today. What do you feel are the major stumbling blocks for practical effects, and even CGI effects in general in the movie industry?
I think first of all, like I've gotten some feedback through the internet that somebody's saying like, "Why are you ragging on digital?" And that's not what my intent is. My intent is not to suppress an art form in favor of another art form.
Yes.
It's to eliminate that suppression. Right now, my art form is being suppressed, and another one is being promoted, not necessarily to the benefit of the people doing the work, because they're 100%. Not getting rich. I don't know any digital artists that are getting rich.
No, definitely not.
In fact, they're going out of business.
And especially when you see things like Iron Man 3, which the effects are the star of the show, and making $1 billion worldwide now, and you guys don't see any back end on that.
Right,
I mean,
right.
it's shutting down, you know, CGI people as well as practical effects
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, and I think that issue of, like, you know, back end and participation and all that kind of stuff, that is a real issue and something that does need to be explored. For me, I always thought, you know, well, if we're getting paid well for the work for hire, but we're not getting back end, if we're getting respected, then whatever, who cares? We didn't
Right.
get into this to become rich.
You do it because you love it.
But the problem is that I feel that studios are grinding people down to the point
Yeah.
where they're putting them out of business. Then that's not just they're not paying us well enough. They're actually doing harm.
Yeah, they're
to
taking
us as a
advantage of
community.
artists. I mean,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what corporations do. But
Yeah, I mean,
you know, whether it's comic books or any other art form.
Because there is a market force that says you got to make this thing faster and cheaper than you did last time, right?
Yeah.
It's this constant honing.
Right.
And
but you can
know,
only go so
you
far
can
with
only
that.
go so far.
I mean,
although
you know,
we're still going, we're still, you know,
I mean,
just to
that's
stay
and
in
that's
business.
crazy.
Lots of money.
That I don't disagree with the basic structure of big Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that the short-sightedness and the kind of
Right.
lack of vision to me really is depressing.
Right.
You see people kind of following these old models that they think, despite the fact that there are places like Pixar, right?
Yeah.
Pixar's a corporation. Apple's a corporation. But they seem to be doing something right.
Right.
You know, they seem to be giving people room. They seem to be fostering creativity and encouraging.
Right.
But it's not the case with Hollywood. And I'm not exactly sure why.
Yeah, me neither.
Maybe it's the rapid turnover rate,
Right.
you know?
I think that I'm trying to be positive about it. I hope that at some point there's a backlash against that, and I'm hoping you know, people start realizing, and that's another thing that we're trying to do, is bring that to the forefront, where it's like, don't you love how these practical effects look? Don't they just look amazing? I mean, I'd rather see a shitty puppet than see shitty CGI any day of the week. You know, any day of the week.
Yeah.
And I mean, another question I have is the time too. It's like, I know that they're always not giving you guys enough time, and it's like, I don't understand why, if there's so much pre-production going on, why are they at the end being like, oh, you only have 3 months to work on something?
Yeah, they have been cutting down our time. But the reason that pre-production schedules are getting so short now is that studios, it's the money that studios use. They're borrowing from lines of credit, and they pay interest on that money. And now the money is the dollar amounts are so great. You're making a $200 million movie,
Yeah.
and you start borrowing that money. You start paying interest on that immediately.
Right.
So they want to stall off paying the interest. They want to minimize those costs. So there are right now it's sort of a Hollywood-wide studio mandate in most of the big studios that it's a 3-month pre-production schedule.
Really?
Used to be 9 months, used to be 6
Wow,
months. Now they're just saying
3 months.
that's all we can afford, folks, because of interest. It's because they're spending $200 million on a movie.
Right.
Because the Hollywood model has become chasing the big tentpole
Right.
summer blockbuster, because that is statistically where they make their money. So from a business standpoint, I get it. You know, they're doing what they got to do, and they're getting this, and that's why the corporate sort of factory model of VFX, why it works better for digital than it does for practical.
Yeah.
Because, you know, practical stuff is created not that digital isn't handcrafted. Of
Yeah.
course it is, right?
Of course.
But the practical stuff, it gets down to, 60 people working with messy shit and,
Yeah.
bringing it all
Yeah, yeah.
on set. And
I've been in a shop. It gets
Yeah.
pretty wild and woolly in there.
Whereas the corporate structure of digital, the digital world mirrors what the corporate structure of the studio, and they get that, right? They go, okay, we put the money in this end, and it goes through a chain of cubicles, and out comes our shot at the other end. How
Right,
wonderful! And
right.
what you do is you shoot a plate, and you're done, and you
Yeah,
stay on your
right,
schedule.
right.
You don't have things breaking. You don't have all the horror stories that are exaggerated
Yeah.
about practical effects, and so they're attracted to the easy, more expensive route.
Right.
You know, whatever, it makes their lives easier. And for us fans, we say, yeah, but it doesn't enhance the experience.
Right.
It isn't the right combination of practical and digital, but that's not what they're into. They're into it for the business model and ease and laziness, not for the experience of you.
And now nowadays, this is something that I've been seeing where how, like we were talking earlier, how things are so polished to a point where they're not even human anymore. You can't even connect with them anymore. You see things like Kickstarter coming out where it's essentially public funding of the arts. I mean, we did a Kickstarter ourselves. I mean, we're not funded by anybody, and it's crazy that we can make a show with as much production value as we can, it's just two people, two assholes in an apartment, so, well, we got a little bit of talent behind us, whatever,
No, I was going to say it's a condo, isn't it?
I wish, but yeah, I mean, like, how do you feel like things like Kickstarter, I know you're a Harbinger Down, you're trying to fund your thing right now, which is a return to practical effects, creature filmmaking.
That's right.
I mean, do you think that this is where it's going to happen? Like, where we're going to see, like, new practical effects movies coming out, hopefully? I mean, how do you feel about
I think what we're seeing with Kickstarter is, it's the overused term, it's the democratization of filmmaking, right?
Yeah.
Where the public gets to vote on whether or not this project gets made.
Yeah.
And it is geared towards smaller projects, towards independent projects. We've had a couple of exceptions with, Veronica Mars and
Right.
Zach Braff's movie. I actually had reservations about going on Kickstarter because of those two.
Right.
But were it not for the fan outpouring and basically being called to a higher mission
Yeah.
to help save this art of mine, I probably wouldn't have done it, because I had people telling me that for a couple of years prior to, you should do it. And I thought, it sounds kind of self-serving to me, right? But then when we put the Thing video out, when we put the Green Goblin video out, and I saw, oh, wow, there are legions of people, or so it seemed.
Yeah.
Maybe there's enough that we could actually do something. And the fans have stepped up fantastically. We have people who are like saying, I'm going to go in debt, and we're like saying, don't do that.
Don't do
Please
that. Yeah, don't do that.
Don't do that. We'll
But-
figure
but
out
I
a way.
appreciate your
but don't do that.
enthusiasm.
But and we've had some real high end people. We've got like
Yeah.
7 or 9 $10,000
Wow.
pledgers.
Wow.
People who are doctors who said, I always wanted to do this, but I became a doctor instead. And like, well, now you're rich, so you have a chance to support
Yeah.
all these artists who want to, and it's a great thing. But we're a ways away from making it happen.
Yeah. As I was saying earlier, it's crazy to me that, people look at $350,000 and think, oh, that's a fuck ton of money. That's nothing to make a movie. That's not, especially a creature film. And I really want to see something. I really want to see your project get made. And I feel like if everyone who watches this video donates like $4, like, you guys are totally going to hit your goal, and we're all going to get a fucking badass creature flick that, like, I've been waiting for, because personally, I've been starved for horror films. I haven't seen anything that I've been wowed by in years. I mean,
I would be honored to give you that experience. And come on set too. Come on set and watch what we're
you guys
doing.
fucking donate so I
Hey.
can come on set.
And you worked on it. You worked in a creature shop, right? Or was it just visual effects? Was it
It
creature?
was, they did a little bit of everything. They did a little bit of everything.
We'll get you stippling latex.
I know.
and
Well, I
all that
always
stuff.
wanted to learn how to poke the hairs into the stuff.
Oh,
I think
yeah,
I'd be really good at that.
Yeah, you might be. I'm terrible at it.
I like really
But-
weird. I like rolling change and stuff and like counting.
Right.
Like I like really weird
That stuff?
little tasks.
Do you think
so-
that that's a female thing? Because most
think it
great
is.
hair workers are women. Why?
I think it is.
Why would
It's
why do you think that?
it's because we're innately pickers. Like we're like, you have that motherly, like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, it's a, you just can't help it as a woman. Like, you
There-
want to peel that
yes.
sunburn,
That's
like,
exactly right.
and that's why you're good at that. Women are good at the hair stuff. It's
think
it's
so.
very detail oriented.
I go back to that hunter gatherer, right?
Yeah.
It's like I can't find the ripe fruit in the but my
Right.
wife can.
Right, right,
And
right.
you're right. I have 4 daughters, so if I walk through, it's summertime, and I walk through the house, they're like chasing me. No,
Yeah.
you've got a blackhead. I've got 1,000 of them. I lock myself in the bathroom until they leave me alone.
I know. I don't know, man. It's just a female thing.
Very
I got
interesting.
it. Oh, I mean, we were watching Dark Crystal the other day, and there's this part where they're going through this forest that's like all the flowers are puppets
Yeah,
and shit, and you're
yeah.
just like, God damn it, this looks so
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
like,
yeah. I hope to
it's
do that kind of
crazy.
stuff. I hope we get funded, because
Yeah.
I think this will be a good stepping stone. But regardless, the great thing is that this has been a learning experience for me. It's given me a mission
Yeah.
to really bring this stuff back, because not only for myself, for my people, but for the fans, and I think
Yeah.
for for all moviegoers.
I mean, for the art of it, you know. I mean, it's just it's got that personal touch.
And if people didn't care, I'd leave.
Right.
But people care.
But people do care.
People
People
care.
care. We have to expose these children now to this stuff because they're not going to know any better. You got to show them. Like,
Yeah, it can't all be video games.
You
right?
know, yeah.
There should be video games.
There
should be
yes.
digital effects. There
And
should
there
also
should
be
be practical
stop motion and practical. right?
Yes, love
Why
stop
not?
motion.
In fact, I'm going to advertise this film as a practical effects film,
Yeah.
in the way that you could, like Paranorman, a stop motion
Right.
fantasy. You know,
Right.
people know stop motion. We need to
Right.
brand the term practical effects, which
Yeah.
includes miniatures and creatures.
Yeah,
you
love
know, makeup,
miniatures.
all
I
that
fucking
stuff.
love
Yeah,
miniatures.
yeah.
Like, just even if I know it's a miniature, I'm like, I love it. It's just I like anything that's miniaturized. I like. Or,
And
I
it
don't
makes
know,
much
like,
more interesting behind the scenes photos too,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah.
It's not a monitor, guys.
Well, and that's the thing too. We were talking about. It's like actors as well. It's like you can't act off a fucking tennis ball. Like Jesus Christ. So one thing that a lot of people don't realize is that with visual effects, the actors themselves don't have anything to act off of. They have some asshole in a green suit or a fucking tennis ball or some bullshit or nothing at all, and. You know, they can't act off of that. I mean, like, how much better are the performances when you have a fucking monster in your face covered in goo?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's that old thing about acting being reacting. What are you reacting to? If you're not reacting to anything but your imagination, again, it's another cumulative artificial element
Yeah.
in a film that just makes it all bogus, you know? Stan Winston used to say that. Stan would say, you know why our stuff in Aliens looks so great? Because Sigourney believes in it.
yeah.
And she's the conduit of the audience to the action, right?
100%.
And she would just work herself up to where you had no doubt, because she was right there with it.
Yeah.
Here's another little thing with the acting, right? In Alien Resurrection, Jean-Pierre Jeunet was the big newborn character. But remember that moment where the head comes in and goes, and
Yeah.
it bites at her?
Yeah.
That was an accident.
Yeah.
That was us, something happened,
Happy
a short or
accidents,
something.
man.
And she stayed in the moment.
Yeah.
And she did that thing and reacted to it.
Yeah.
And it made it into the film. And
Yeah.
that's a randomness. That's embracing that
Right. Well, it's
randomness.
chaos, you know? I mean, it's like practical effects also bring a dimension of chaos, which is good. Like, all sorts of amazing things are born out of chaos. And it's like, people don't realize that. People are like, oh, order. It's like, order
Yeah,
ain't
right.
all that it's crapped up to be.
The thought is that the more you can control your medium and your art, the better it will be. And if you
No.
are really an artist, like, you know, if you sculpt, you know that the clay gives you something back.
Yeah.
The different clays give you different paints. You
Right.
mentioned oil paints versus acrylic.
Right.
Watercolor, it gives you something different back. If you try to control it and make it all yours,
Yeah.
you're going to lose the fight. And you need to be a partner with your medium. And that's what
Yeah.
practical
Well,
effects is about.
It's a weird story. Again, talking about my mom. She was in art school for a hot minute, and she did this oil painting of some bananas or some shit. Left it out to dry. It rained on the oil painting. Fucked it all up. She had to turn it in. Everyone loved it. Everyone loved it. They were like, this is the best painting we've ever seen. It was abstract and weird. And
Yeah.
that was her biggest painting. And it's like...
Yeah,
you
she
know,
could never live up to
never
that.
live up to that.
Happy
you know?
accident.
And it's just like, happy accident. Well, Alec, it was a pleasure having you on. I'm so glad we got to talk about this. I feel much better. I hope you feel a little bit better. And definitely, again, Harbinger down. You guys should definitely check it out on Kickstarter right here. Check it out. Definitely donate. Like I said, man, any bucks, $1, whatever. Like, we gotta get people on board for this. So if you're a big believer in practical effects like I am, and you want this art form to survive and keep seeing awesome stuff that Alec and his crew makes, then please definitely check it out and definitely support, you know, all of our efforts here. Like, just get the word out. Tell your friends.
If Lance was here, he'd say, "Come on, everybody, step up. All right, we can do it."
Be a part.
He's got a way cooler voice.
I know he does. He
that
does.
Man, that man's got the
Well,
voice.
I was watching his thing, and he's like, "Be a part of the tribe," and I was
Oh,
like,
my
"I
God.
want to be a part of the tribe."
Yeah.
Like, I'm in it.
I don't.
All right, Alec. Thank you again for being
Thank
here.
you.
It was
Thank
a
you.
pleasure. Hope to have you back one day.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So this has been a mini version of my interview with Alec Gillis. If you're interested and you want to hear more and see the full version, which is over an hour long, where you're going to get all sorts of more details on what's going on with Hollywood and why CGI is being overused and practical effects are being underused, more about why practical effects are replaced by CGI, like in the case of The Thing with 2011, ADI had a deal where they made all these amazing puppets, they made all these amazing practical effects, animatronics, all sorts of stuff, and it ended up getting cut, and most of the film ended up being CGI instead, and it sucked. Same thing with I Am Legend. Anyways, it's really interesting and you should totally check it out.